So we're here today to recognize that housing justice is climate justice. Today, the California Green New Deal Coalition and California Environmental Justice Alliance, together with our members, partners, and allies, are coming here to bring our community's voices to Sacramento. These communities are in crisis, and it is not a singular crisis alone. In California, we're seeing what happens when crises converge. We have a housing crisis that leaves rent unaffordable for millions, and hundreds of thousands of people are experiencing homelessness every day. Across the state, people are living in aging, inadequate, unsafe, and unhealthy conditions. All of this while real estate corporations continue to make incredible profits off of speculation on land and housing that is for profit and not for people. All of this is made worse and in some cases deadly by climate change. What happens to people when disasters hit and they live in unsafe housing or don't have a roof over their head? This past weekend, we saw a hurricane hit Southern California, and just last month, we saw a record-breaking heat wave sweep the state. This has become the new normal, and we are not ready. We must face the fact that climate is not its own issue. We must also understand that housing is not its own issue. These are both deeply related and interconnected. We deserve beautiful, resilient, and carbon-free homes. We also know that substandard and unstable housing makes people more vulnerable to increasingly frequent and intense climate impacts. But we know we can't rely on the for-profit housing market alone to do this. So addressing the housing crisis by deeply investing in healthy and resilient homes is a climate strategy. This is why the California Green New Deal Coalition has prioritized green social housing as a vision for what we're fighting for today. To say it again, housing justice is climate justice. Our climate strategy must be for everyone to have a healthy, affordable home. And electrifying someone's home doesn't help them if they can't afford to live there. And that having a home won't help if our world is on fire. So we're calling on the state to commit to green social housing. This is a proven model from across the world that can combat housing unaffordability. And we have proven models here in California, such as community land trusts, that can give us hope for a better future. This model is deeply needed, and we have an opportunity for the state to begin to take real action through SB 555. We are very excited to have the author of SB 555 here with us today, Senator Aisha Wahab, as well as advocates and organizers who have been pushing for the state to do this. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over the mic to Senator Wahab to share about SB 555. Senator.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Today we are gathered here to specifically talk about Senate Bill 555. The reality is that housing is a human right. We know that, we say that, we believe that. I personally believe that. Everyone deserves affordable, safe, and dignified housing. The reality is that housing and homelessness are the #1 issue for the majority of constituents here in California. It is literally the #1 issue for a majority of cities that conduct surveys within their own jurisdiction and what people are worried about. And yet at the same time, we don't talk about housing enough. We don't talk about the housing struggles people have. We talk about development, but we don't talk about affordability. And one of the things that SB 555 will ensure is that we can meet the affordable housing needs of Californians, especially those who are very low and low income, right? And the honest truth of it is that this is the foundation of any landmark bill that we are going to move forward with in regards to understanding what we have to produce, protect, and preserve affordable housing. We don't do it enough. SB 555 would identify pathways towards developing 1.4 million stable, affordable homes for Californians via public, nonprofit, and cooperative housing production and acquisition. We need to talk about affordability. We also understand that, you know, in this last week, we've had Southern California hit with nearly 12 inches of rain in 24 hours. We know that environmental justice is very much a part of housing justice. We know that when we see the fires, and literally fires destroying neighborhoods and entire cities, those are now refugee populations. They are struggling to be sheltered with their loved ones, their seniors, their children, their animals, their pets. And what are we doing when we can't identify what we have? We talk about being the fourth largest economy in the world. What does that mean when Californians can't even afford to live in the city they grew up in? That's what we're talking about. So SB 555 does, in fact, work very much to focus on environmental justice, because the more and more in my district, when condos and townhomes are priced at $1.3 million as a starter home, who can live there? They're moving further and further away from the Bay Area. They're becoming what we call super commuters. Super commuters that literally spend 3 hours of their life every single day driving to work because the jobs are still in the Bay, right? And that's just an example locally from my area. And the lack of density and affordability keep pushing renters to the fringes of our counties where there's less infrastructure and increased risk of fire and flooding and much more. Communities rebuilding from fires become more susceptible to mudslides following intense rains like we saw earlier this year and just this past weekend. Our communities deserve stable, affordable, and resilient housing that can resist market and climate forces. SB 555 is one of the most important housing bills in the state legislature today. It has passed the Senate floor with significant support. It has passed the Assembly Housing Committee, as well as many other members signing on. We have a coalition here built of advocates, people that fight for human rights, housing rights, and environmental justice. We need to do more, and we ask you all to write to your elected officials, call them, email them, but also reach out to the governor's office to make sure that this bill is signed. Thank you.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now. All right, thank you, Senator. I'm going to bring to the stage Shanti Singh from Tenants Together, who's going to share a little bit more about what social housing could look like in California.
Hi, everyone. I just found out I had to do this 5 minutes ago, so bear with me. My name's Shanti Singh, she, her. I am the Comms and Legislative Director at Tenants Together. We are a coalition of 60. We're a coalition of 60 tenant-led community organizations across the state of California, including tenants unions, legal aid providers, community land trusts, and more. Our members across California communities of all kinds are increasingly looking to social housing as the tool to end our housing shortage. We are really proud to co-sponsor SB 555 with a broad coalition, including all of the amazing environmental justice groups here today, tenant organizations and community land trusts across California, and of course our friends in labor. So we have a really beautiful coalition behind this bill, and I'm super excited to pass it. So what does SB 555 do? It accommodates an entire mixed income spectrum of Californians who are burdened by high rents and mortgages. Now, just to be clear, we have a 2030 goal for housing production in California. I think it's 2.5 million units. 1.4 of those 2.5 million units, a majority, at minimum, have to be affordable to low and middle income Californians who cannot afford the housing market. That is a bar we have to meet. We have to go over it, honestly. If your opportunities to build any kind of stability for your family or build any wealth are threatened by real estate speculation in any community in California, rural, urban, whatever, social housing should be there for you, and it can be. What SB 555 does is it sets in motion an action plan for both acquiring and producing social housing. Whether because of expiring deed restrictions or speculation on naturally occurring affordable housing, we are losing housing options for cost-burdened Californians faster than we can build them. We are overdue for a state-level conversation about new housing models and the investments that will be required to make it possible. And I want to highlight, too, that all of us on the ground, whether in housing justice, environmental justice, and labor, we're already fighting for social housing. We are already trying to raise money. We are already trying to take housing off the speculative market and protect tenants. We are already trying to decarbonize that housing. All of this work is already being done in communities across California of all kinds. It is now time, through SB 555, for the state to step up and support us. And beyond California, we're seeing pushes for social housing in, I think this list is out of date at this point, Hawaii, Maryland, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Michigan. Even someone from Montana reached out to me the other day. And at home, again, in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, other cities, they're already passing initiatives to authorize municipal social housing. We have new land trusts growing across the Central Valley and the Inland Empire, including Tenants Together's new member organization, Inland Equity. Shout out to them. So we need this state level plan. We needed it yesterday, but today's the best time to start. And in terms of what SB 555 does, it's setting up this planning process. Right, we're entrusting the Department of Housing and Community Development to bear the same expertise that they've already brought to planning housing and working with communities, and specifically working with us, all the tenants on the ground who are impacted, all of the organizations who are already doing this work, to work across a range of housing models. It could be municipal housing, it could be funding existing public housing, it could be a land trust, it could be a limited equity housing cooperative, right? We really know that we need a lot of solutions to move this forward, but what matters is that it's permanently affordable, it's green, and it's for everybody. So please support SB 555, everyone.
Thank you, Shanti. Now I'm going to bring up Jonathan Pruitt from the California Environmental Justice Alliance.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Pruitt with the California Environmental Justice Alliance, or CEJA. CEJA represents 10 grassroots environmental justice organizations from the Bay Area to the Central Valley to the Tijuana border, with memberships in the tens of thousands advocating for progressive environmental policy in the state level. Housing justice is environmental justice. And CEJA is committed to ensuring that all Californians, especially residents of disadvantaged communities, have a right to healthy, safe, and affordable housing. And at CEJA, our biggest vision in the Green Zones campaign is to build the new by bringing in the good environmental justice, land use, and housing policy. SB 555 is a good housing policy. There's a need for a new approach to housing, one that will bring quality, stable, permanently affordable housing for all income levels, and that's why CEJA proudly supports SB 555, and we ask the legislators and the governor for their support for this amazing bill. Thank you.
All right, let's keep it rolling. I'm going to invite Kiki from the Natural Resource Defense Council to come speak next.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here. I'm happy to be here today. So today, the Natural Resources Defense Council is proud to stand with organizations from throughout the state to urge your support for SB 555. As we continue to witness the effects of climate change in California, from wildflowers to droughts to floods to even hurricanes, we're reminded of the urgent need to invest in strategies that will both alleviate our dependency on fossil fuels and shift towards developing green social housing. Green social housing is the solution we need to address both climate change and our housing crisis. If California wants to meet its climate and affordable housing goals, the development of green social housing is the solution where we all win. Green social housing will expand the climate resilient housing infrastructure in California, which California needs, while also stabilizing and decarbonizing naturally occurring affordable housing, which is currently in danger of reverting to unaffordable prices. SB 555 is a first step in understanding the scope of work that is ahead of us. A study on green social housing will provide comprehensive analysis of the opportunities and policies that we need to make green social housing a reality in California. We urge your support on SB 555.
All right. I'm excited to bring to the stage our very own state organizer, Sim Bilal.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? When our communities are under attack, what do we do? When our communities are under attack, what do we do? When the land we live on is under attack, what do we do? When our futures are under attack, what do we do? Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Sim Bilal. I'm the state organizer for the California Green New Deal Coalition and the lead organizer for Youth Climate Strike Los Angeles. I'm here today to talk to you about what it's like All right. Is this better? Okay. I'm here today to talk to you what it's like growing up in Southern California to a single mother and a family of 6. For me, I grew up housing insecure. My community is impacted by environmental racism. I lost my grandmother when I was 6 years old because of cancer, because the environment that we lived on was contaminated, because the air that we breathed was toxic, and because the land that we lived on was poisoned. I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of social housing and the importance of understanding the connection to the climate crisis. When I was 6 years old, we moved from place to place, unable to find a place to live in because rent was too high. And today, my mother is a social worker, and she still can't afford to live in Southern California without the support of me and my siblings, and to support our other siblings. This puts us in a very dire situation, realizing that a lot of times my mother could be one paycheck away from being unhoused. There are times when I slept in the car when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old because we couldn't afford rent. And this is a sad reality, but it is not a unique story. There are so many children across California, across Los Angeles, that are sleeping in their cars, that are going to school and being homeless. But this is something that we need to address. We see the climate crisis displace people time and time again. In Katrina, when the floods came and the hurricane came, communities were forced out of their neighborhoods and they were unable to buy back the land that they lived on. And who bought that land? Developers. And they priced out the communities that live there. Right now in Maui, we see the fires taking control and ravaging historical and ancestral lands. It is killing people, it is displacing people to the mainland. And they cannot afford to buy back their properties, and developers come and spring up new hotels. This is the importance of social housing. It is important to have control of your land, to have control of your environment, to have self-determination on your future, on the families of your children, on your legacy. It is important to be able to determine that. And so I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of environmental justice, of climate justice, of housing justice. This is an intersectional issue because it affects all of us. And it's just a matter of time until it comes for you. We don't know when the next hurricane will strike, when the next flood, when the next wildfire. But I do know that when it comes and you and your family cannot afford to rebuild, you will be displaced. You will be bought out by realtors and developers that only see to make a profit off your land and off our future. So I'm here today to ask you to vote in support of SB 555 because this cannot wait. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone. So for today, the California Green New Deal Coalition and California Environmental Justice Alliance are here to uplift our priorities. This SB 555 is one of the top priorities for our coalition, and we ask for the support of the legislature and the governor's office on this important bill. I think this is an important opportunity to uplift all of the other intersectional issues that we're trying to address today. We're talking about democracy and the elections and the referendum. We're talking about climate or corporate accountability, making sure corporations are accountable for the emissions they're putting in the air. We're making sure that we're actually investing in community infrastructure. And we're making sure that with all the money that's available, increasingly for infrastructure and climate, that it's going to the communities that need it most. This is an opportunity for us to bring our community's voice here to Sacramento, and thank you to everyone out here in support, and for the organizations, advocates, and allies who are here to pass these important measures. So thank you to the Senator, thank you to all of you, and with that, I think we'll wrap things up for today.